The deep black of space stretched endlessly beyond the windows of the Artemis dawn. Stars blinked like ancient eyes watching humanity's small, brave ship drift into the unknown. The mission was simple in words but impossible in spirit: to find the Alindra, a mysterious alien species said to live beyond the Veil Nebula. Captain Elias Varen stood at the command deck, his hand resting on the cool metal railing as he stared into the bright swirl of the nebula ahead. It was a living ocean of light, blue, gold, and violet, a sight so beautiful it made the heart ache. He turned as Dr. Lyra Chen, the ship's xenolinguist, approached. She was holding a small data tablet filled with unreadable waves and signals. Her eyes, tired from long hours of analysis, still sparkled with curiosity. "They're not like anything I've seen," she said, voice soft but certain. "It's not language, it's rhythm." Elias raised a brow. She nodded. "Heartbeats. Every pulse in the signal matches a human heart rate, 72 beats per minute." He frowned slightly. "That can't be coincidence." "It's not," she replied. "When I ran the data through the empathic resonance program, the waveform responded to human emotional frequencies. Captain, it's almost like they're feeling us." The crew on the deck exchanged uncertain looks. Some whispered about alien traps or mind control, but Elias silenced them with a calm wave of his hand. "Prepare a reply," he ordered. "Let's see if they can feel us back." Lyra hesitated. "A reply? Using what?" Elias smiled faintly. "Our own heartbeat." Hours later, the Artemis dawn floated in silence. The ship's main antenna released a soft rhythmic transmission, the combined heartbeats of the crew, captured through their biometric monitors. A soft thrum filled the control room, steady and human. Then the reply came. The nebula flared as if awakened. Light rippled through the clouds, and a deep, musical pulse echoed through the ship's hull. It wasn't sound exactly, more like emotion given form. It made the air vibrate softly, and everyone felt it in their chest. Lyra gasped. "It's answering us," but before Elias could respond, the console lights flickered. The air crackled with energy. Lyra clutched her head and fell to her knees. "Lyra!" Elias rushed forward, catching her before she hit the floor. Her body shook violently, her eyes wide open but unseeing. Medical alarms blared. The ship's medic ran in, shouting orders, but Elias ignored everything except the faint, rapid beat he could feel against his arm, her heart pounding wildly. "She's in neural shock," someone shouted. The sound of the alien pulse grew stronger, almost like it was inside the ship, inside them. The lights dimmed to darkness, and the only sound was that strange rhythm. Then slowly it faded away. Lyra's body went still. The medic checked her vitals. "She's stable," he said, voice shaking. "But her neural implants, they overloaded. I don't understand how she's still alive." Elias carried her to the medical bay himself. The rest of the crew watched in silence, their faces pale. For 3 long hours, Elias sat by Lyra's bedside. The medical monitors beeped in a steady rhythm beside him, matching her heartbeat. He barely moved. The ship continued to drift near the Veil Nebula, quiet and cautious, waiting for orders that never came. Elias wasn't thinking about the mission anymore. He was thinking about the strange signal that had reached into Lyra's mind. He'd seen many things in space: storms of radiation, collapsed stars, frozen derelicts. But he had never seen something that felt. He leaned forward and looked at her face. She seemed peaceful now, as if asleep. The soft green light from the monitor reflected off her skin, giving her a faint glow. He pressed 2 fingers lightly against the pulse at her wrist. Still steady, still human. Then he heard it. A faint echo through the medical speakers. Thump, 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 thump. The same rhythm, only slightly out of sync. The alien signal. Elias frowned and turned up the volume. The pattern on the screen flickered. One waveform for Lyra's heartbeat, another for the strange external signal. Slowly they began to align. "Is that," he whispered, "in sync?" The ship's AI, Athena, responded softly through the intercom. "Captain, both frequencies are matching. The alien signal is resonating with Dr. Chen's heartbeat." Elias leaned closer to the monitor, fascinated. "Are you saying the Alindra are connected to her?" "I believe they are listening to her, Captain," Athena said. Or perhaps, through her, hours passed. The crew grew restless. Some wanted to cut off the signal entirely, afraid of another incident. Others wanted to move closer to the nebula. Elias, however, stayed silent, lost in thought. He returned to Lyra's side as the ship's clock reached midnight. The nebula outside glowed brighter than before, as if it was waiting. He sat down and rested his hand gently over hers. "If you can hear me," he murmured, "we're still here. You're not alone." For a moment nothing happened. Then the monitor pulsed once. Her heart skipped a beat, then settled back into rhythm. The alien signal flared in perfect harmony. Elias felt something stir deep in his chest, a mix of fear and awe. Humans had always believed communication was about words, symbols, logic. But what if this was something purer? A language older than sound, feeling itself. He whispered quietly, almost to himself. Maybe this is how they talk. Through what we feel. Suddenly Lyra's body tensed. The monitors screamed with warning tones as her pulse spiked. The alien rhythm grew louder, faster, until it filled the entire room. Elias grabbed her hand, shouting for the medic, but before anyone could reach her, her eyes flew open. They glowed faintly, reflecting the nebula's light. "Lyra," Elias said, holding her shoulders gently. "Stay with me." Her lips trembled. When she spoke, her voice was quiet, almost like a whisper from another world. "They don't speak in words, Elias." He froze. "What?" "They speak in feelings." Her eyes filled with tears. "And they're scared of us." The room went silent. No one moved. No one breathed. The alien pulse faded, leaving only the sound of her soft breathing and the hum of the ship. Elias looked at her, his mind racing. Scared of humans? Of what they might do? Or of what they already had done to their universe? He turned toward the window, watching the swirling lights of the Veil Nebula shift like living thoughts. Somewhere out there, something ancient had reached out to humanity, and it was afraid. He glanced back at Lyra, still weak but awake, her hand resting near the heart monitor. The rhythmic pulse continued to echo softly, linking her heartbeat to the distant stars. Elias reached out and adjusted the sensor so he could hear it clearly. The sound filled the room, thump, thump, thump. The captain closed his eyes and listened. He didn't understand the full message, not yet, but in that rhythm, in that fragile, steady heartbeat, he heard something no alien translation could ever describe. It was hope. And for the first time since the Artemis Dawn left Earth, Elias believed that humanity's heart might be enough to bridge the silence of the stars. The Artemis Dawn drifted silently through the glowing mists of the Veil Nebula. Outside the viewports, clouds of colored light shimmered like liquid glass, twisting and folding in impossible patterns. Inside, the ship hummed quietly, every creak and vibration amplified by the emptiness of space. Captain Elias Varon sat beside Dr. Lyra Chen, whose hands were still resting near the heart monitors. Though her pulse had stabilized, the memory of the Alindra signal still lingered in her mind, leaving a delicate trail of lingering emotion. Every heartbeat seemed to echo with the alien presence. "They're trying to understand us," Lyra said, her voice soft, almost a whisper. Her eyes wide and bright reflected the nebula's glow. "I can feel it, Elias. They don't know what it means to be human. To feel everything at once, joy, sadness, fear, hope. They're trying to make sense of it." Elias rested a hand on hers, careful not to disturb the monitor. "Then maybe we should help them understand." Lyra shook her head. "It's not simple. If I push too far, my implants could overload again. But if I don't, they may never learn." Elias squeezed her hand gently. "Then I'll stay with you. Whatever you need, I'll be your anchor." The words seemed to calm her. For the first time since their encounter, she allowed herself to lean back in the medical bed and breathe. The rhythmic thump of her heartbeat filled the room. A sound Elias had come to know as a kind of language, a code the universe itself was beginning to understand. The next day, the crew gathered in the command deck. The atmosphere was tense. Some whispered that the Alindra might be manipulating Lyra, or worse, controlling her thoughts. Others argued that humanity had a unique chance to communicate with a species unlike any other, and perhaps change the balance of knowledge in the galaxy. Elias addressed the crew. "I know this is new and it's frightening, but I've spent my life exploring the stars and I've learned one thing. Humans are special, not because we're the strongest, not because we're the smartest, but because we feel. And it's that feeling that may save us all today." A murmur of agreement ran through the crew, but unease lingered in the air. Lyra adjusted her neural interface once more. "If I can focus, I can try to establish a direct connection," she said. "But I'll need someone to..." to share the emotion with me. Someone whose heart I can trust, whose rhythm I can mirror. Elias did not hesitate. He stepped forward. Then I'll do it. I'll stay close enough to hear the secrets of your heart. They returned to the medical bay. Elias sat beside Lyra, his own hand resting lightly over hers, the neural interface whirred to life, lights blinking along the edges of the device. Lyra closed her eyes and reached inward, searching for the faint pulse of the Alindra. It came like a whisper, a soft vibration in her chest. Tentative, unsure, the Alindra were testing, feeling for a signal they could trust. Elias felt the subtle tremor of her heartbeat beneath his hand, and instinctively he adjusted his own rhythm to match hers. For hours, they sat like that. Human and alien hearts linked in silence, and slowly the Alindra began to respond. Their pulses grew stronger, clearer, no longer chaotic flashes but steady waves of emotion. Lyra's lips parted, barely a whisper. They're trying to copy me. Copy us, Elias nodded. They can't do it perfectly yet, but they're learning. She opened her eyes. Elias, they don't understand individuality. They think everything is one. They can't grasp that we are separate people with separate feelings, yet somehow connected. And that's our strength, Elias said. We are separate, and that's why we can build bridges. As the days passed, Lyra and Elias spent long hours in the empathy sessions. The Alindra began to respond not only to emotions but to memories, fragments of life experiences. When Lyra shared a memory of the first human children laughing in a field, a ripple of soft golden light pulsed through the nebula. When Elias shared his memory of walking on Earth's mountains and feeling the wind against his face, the Alindra responded with a warm, steady glow. The crew watched in awe. The alien species, ancient and incomprehensible, was slowly beginning to understand the essence of humanity, the ability to find joy, sorrow, and hope in small moments. But it was not without risk. The energy flowing through Lyra was intense. At one point she gasped, clutching her chest. Her pulse spiked to a dangerous level and the room's monitors beeped frantically. Elias leaned over her, holding her close. Steady, I've got you, he whispered. Breathe with me. I can feel your heart and I'll match it. You're not alone. Slowly the alarm ceased. The Alindra's pulses faded into gentle waves and Lyra's heartbeat returned to a safe rhythm. You saved me, she said weakly. No, Elias replied softly, his eyes meeting hers. We saved each other. One evening, the Artemis dawn drifted closer to the heart of the Veil Nebula. Outside the windows, light twisted and danced, creating shapes that seemed almost alive. Lyra's hands hovered over the interface, tracing patterns in the air. I can feel them more clearly now, she said. They're afraid of our differences. They don't know if we'll destroy them or protect them. Elias reached for her hand, entwining his fingers with hers. Then we show them. We show them what humans are capable of. Courage, empathy, care. They will see the truth through us. Together, they focused on projecting emotion, not words. Lyra sent out the warmth of compassion, the fear of the unknown, and the steady strength of hope. Elias added his own rhythm, unwavering courage, quiet determination, and the deep bond between them. The Alindra responded immediately. The nebula outside swirled with radiant colors, forming patterns that no human mind could fully comprehend. It was as if the universe itself was listening. But not all the crew were convinced. Some whispered that the Alindra could manipulate emotions, that the humans might be walking into a trap. Lieutenant Sarah Cade, the ship's security officer, confronted Elias. Captain, this is dangerous. We don't even know what they want, she said, her voice tense. We could lose control of the ship or worse ourselves. Elias shook his head. Sarah, look at what we've achieved. They respond to us. They learn from us. If we pull back now, we lose the chance to prove that humanity has a gift no other species possesses. The ability to connect, to feel, to empathize. Sarah hesitated. She studied the nebula's swirling lights and then the steady pulse of Lyra's heartbeat. Slowly she nodded. I hope you're right, Captain. Late that night, Lyra's connection reached a new depth. Through her, Elias could feel the Alindra, not just their fear, but their wonder. They were astonished by the human ability to experience multiple emotions at once, to love and hope despite danger. Elias leaned close, resting his forehead against Lyra's shoulder. Do you feel it? He whispered. Lyra nodded, eyes closed. Yes, They're beginning to trust us, and you? He asked softly. Do you trust them? I do, she said. But more importantly, I trust you. The nebula outside pulsed in response, as if acknowledging their bond. The Alindra had begun to understand humanity, not through words, but through the rhythm of two hearts united in courage and care. Elias smiled faintly. Then we're ready. We'll show them who we are, not as conquerors, not as strangers, but as humans who can feel. And maybe, just maybe, that will be enough. The pulse continued, steady now, a shared heartbeat across species and stars. The Artemis dawn drifted onward, deeper into the nebula, carrying the first true message of humanity into the unknown. Somewhere in the cosmic mist, the Alindra watched and learned. And somewhere inside the ship, two human hearts beat as one, a bridge, a promise, and a hope that stretched across the galaxy.